Maxwell family already knew about it, so Epstein joined an already existing
suburbs of Portland. I just imagine some people would be shooting back then. The head of the FBI quit his job and gave public lectures on how satanic cults were taking over everything. Gone in 20, that kind of. I don't know, sounds odd. I take it something's going down in Portland then.
It's probably going to be nachos. Nachos are good.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Give me a couple minutes.
I do. Let me just catch up with the questions. So, does nanowires creep me out? Yep, they do. Taking a certain amount of info, hard to pull it back out. Antifa is the diversion. Well, it's gone crazy. I take it something's going down in Portland then. Guards being stabbed and stuff in Ware County prison riot. Okay. Antifa in suburbs of Portland. I should imagine some people would be shooting back then. The head of the FBI quit his job and gave public lectures on how satanic cults were taking over everything. Gone in 2012. Interesting. Then industry leaders that couldn't be controlled were taken out. I lost many friends. I remember that kind of. I don't know, sounds odd. Quercetin and zinc. Yeah, I mean, I would say it. I mean, I don't know, how effective it is, but at this stage, I would do it. You have nothing to lose taking it, right? Well, I don't know, your kidneys maybe, but this is the chance you take. This is how effective it is, but at this stage, I would do it. You have nothing to lose taking it, right? Well, I don't know, your kidneys maybe, but this is the chance you take. And I see the farm and buy zombie supplies yet. And then industry leaders that couldn't be controlled were taken out. I lost many friends. I remember that kind of. I don't know, sounds odd. Quercetin and zinc. Yeah, I mean, I would say it. I mean, I don't know, how effective it is, but at this stage, I would do it. You have nothing to lose taking it, right? Well, I don't know, your kidneys maybe, but this is the chance you take. And I see the farm and buy zombie supplies yet. Always have zombie supplies. Remember, double tap jigs. Always do. Good to see you as well. Tentacles, blah blah blah. It's all fun and games until some poor bastard God is torturing, pulls back the veil of the unseen and shows you all the demons in the air. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of happening right now, right? Can we draw a statistical correlation between collective insanity infection rates regionally? That's probably a good way of doing it. West Coast was one of the first to get infected. Okay, Washington State. Someone is we have peculiar people indeed. David Job is right. Collective loss of impulse control can only destabilize society. And the heart paper recovered is horrible news. Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, it's like my heart now is just, I'm not having pain all day, right? And that's probably been in the last few weeks. That improvement has occurred. There's been 8 months. 8 months to get to that point. Boldness is underrated. I don't know. I mean, it makes it easy for hairdressing. I mean, I need to go trim and clean up a bit, I think. In the last week, they used fluoride to increase the suggestibility of the soldier class. I didn't know that. Interesting. Oh, you had H1N1, that's right. I have a strange attraction to bald men. Not sure what to say. Way past premenstrual, post-menopausal. Analgesic angle. He's been on the past week or two. Really connects everything. Yeah, it does. A climate cultists are making noise again.
Where is he?
Where's Semper gone? He's gone to get something to eat because he saw Daddy eating cookies. Did you get a cookie?
No.
What do you say?
Thank you.
You're welcome, big boy.
I can't good.
Tastes good? I've been listening for hours. It's been a long stream, but man, I listen to Semper a lot. He does long streams as well. I mean, he can get a bit preachy, but big boy, here you go. What do you need?
I want to come. I need to come outside.
Oh, you want Dad? Have you been spraying water?
Yeah, I surely thought we were using like the item is shoots out water.
You've been using the hose. Daddy's speaking with someone right now, big boy. So he's called Semper.
Semper. Yeah, I'm using my water gun pistol.
Oh, you're using your water pistol. Here, do you want a cookie?
Cookie?
What do you say?
Thank you.
Yeah, good boy. I didn't close the door. Let's bring this up. Let's see, I'm just going back through comments, guys. So, yeah, no, Marie. So I guess there's Is there something? Is there a link for the riot? Did I decide on it? Yeah, I bought two nice images, but I can't get them to. Well, one is recording constantly, but the other one I bought, I can't seem to work out the settings to make it just record constantly, and it's not doing the things that it's advertised to do. And I wrote to their tech support, and I got basically a short video thing back showing that theirs worked, and I was like, oh, okay, that helped me a lot. Excuse me, I just bulged down the microphone for you. I make very good money, but we have had many people get COVID. What should I do? I don't know. Make a donation to me. How about that? That's a good thing to do with your money, dude. Yeah.
Why is he still gone?
Well, he's having something to eat. It's okay.
How much sugar do we eat?
How much things does he eat?
I don't know.
He wants to eat some nachos.
How snacks did he eat it?
Yeah, he's eating snacks, yeah.
64?
I don't know how many he's eaten, but 64 would be a lot.
How about 1 billion?
1 billion snacks? I don't think it's 1 billion, big boy.
I think so.
Can you close the door?
And I don't know what's the big TV password.
Daddy will sort it out. You have to wait, okay?
How much minutes? 3?
No, more than that. Okay.
10?
More. Okay. Go find something else to do for the moment. Get Mummy to put a movie on for you. What do you say?
Thank you.
No. Adios property.
Really? I can give you a kiss now.
No, good boy.
A kiss on the beard.
Close the door. Thank you, Internet. They are cute. I'm blessed every day that I'm able to spend with them. I wish I could do more, but free kids is kind of exhausting. And a lot of the time it's more so to try and keep them occupied so they're not bugging me in some way. But we've taken the tablets away from them because it was just getting too much. And what's that big? Oh, so you're just making you bombing the camera. You're bombing the camera to say hello. You're showing off your blanket.
All right, you didn't try to lie and tell everybody that I was giving you feedback off my headphones, did you?
No. It was good. Hey, quiet. All right, let Daddy speak. My youngest wants to know, how many snacks did you eat? Was it 64?
There might be 64. It's very large.
Yeah.
Right there.
There, look, how it
Not
sees
just.
snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe 64. You were right.
No, you have to find 1 billion.
Okay, boys, let Daddy speak. Okay.
I really want.
All right.
I want y'all and Elle to look at me.
Okay, close the door. Close the door for Daddy. Good boy.
So I'm going to use the pistol and you're going to use.
Okay, Daddy will come and see it in a bit. Okay.
It was interesting that the number he came up with was in multiples. Just saying. Illuminati confirmed.
He's it's Minecraft and Roblox. That's what they play, right? So they're highly numerate and good with symbols, but their sort of functional reading is 0. They're like reading words is too slow. There's not enough. There's not enough information imparted quick enough for them for them to find it of use. Right? That's how bizarre the world has gotten, especially if they're playing those games. All right. So
Well, it's also why people are so easily subverted now, because everybody wants video, which means you have to frame it under an opinion versus being able to explain yourself in an extended period of time.
And I don't find that this stuff translates very well to, like you say, those short 10-minute videos to sort of get a point across. It's too complex. right? And it does just require a long-form conversation where you're able to, you have the time to explore the tangentials that come off as you're having a conversation, right? So there was a lot before even getting down to the practicalities of thinking about the neuroscience of this current state that we're in, okay? Yep. Of just the dialogue around how you're wanting to deal with it, the pressures that you're feeling with respect to the environment that you're in. And you have to remember that everyone is under that pressure of some kind. And at least, that, again, this comes back to why I think it's so important that you speak into people that have actually done something that's concrete. So something like military service is this concrete thing where, like you said, there's this SOP of you have to do something, and even though they might seem bizarre, you know that they're consistent, right? And that's an important element, because you have to understand why the rules, or you don't have to understand why the rules exist precisely, but you just need to know that there are some rules that you should follow, and you need to do it because, but for your own security's sake.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do as you're munching on some nachos, we're going to play a video, and this is from the Liber Lab, okay? And this is them showing these mesh electronics for neuroscience, which they're using to embed into the brain, okay? And again, this is 2018. This is established neuroscience. You're going to play.
Just keep in mind I'm about 20 seconds behind you.
Yeah, no worries, dude. I'm just waiting for this thing to load up. So whilst it is thinking about it, are you gonna play? Okay, there we go.
This method can help answer key questions in the field of neuroscience.
And I'll be dead honest with you,
this processes manifest in the brain,
stuff that
how the brain develops, and how brain diseases originate and progress.
The tech guys on the video game side are playing with in regards to that wireless stuff I was telling you about earlier. That's scarier to me than even any of this.
Oh yeah, but think about what happens when you start combining them together, right?
Well, and if you can do it wirelessly with no equipment, then there's no like guard against it.
So let's watch how they make these electronics, right? Because it's
evaporator and
it's
evaporate
fascinating.
100 nanometers of nickel. Next, spin coat SU8 2000.5 negative photoresist onto the wafer at 4,000 revolutions per minute for an approximate SU8 thickness of 400 to 500 nanometers. Load the wafer into a mask aligner to expose the SU8 with photolithography mask 1, corresponding to the bottom mesh SU8
So I guess my question would be, what happens when spyware gets into your
100
brain?
millijoules.
Well, precisely. This is the whole point of this, right? And so my job right now, I think, is just to inform people of the technology that's available, and we'll look at this, and then we'll think about what the implications are. So we can think about the technical implications, and then we can think about the more metaphysical, because I think the metaphysical probably speaks to more people than the photolithography or computing bugs. So anyway, I'll play. No video.
Per square centimeter.
Could you see the video, dude?
Then,
Nope, I'm seeing what's on YouTube.
SU8 developer. Gently agitate the solution for 2 minutes until the mesh pattern in the SU8 has been fully developed. Then, rinse the wafer in a tray of isopropyl alcohol for 1 minute and blow dry.
Why is that? Yeah, it's not showing up. So you've just been watching a big black square, right?
Actually, I've been talking to you.
but the whole point of hey, big boy, behave. Why have we not able to? Oh, you know what I had to do?
Daddy, in Roblox, you can name yourself Amazing Dancing Penguin. Amazing Dancing Penguin.
I know you can. Come on, boys. Let Daddy speak. Okay. Close the door. Well, if we can't see it right now, then what I will do is I'll put the link in for you. You can, and look, it's not like you're not familiar with the concept, right? You understand that it's there, and this is it's just my way of trying to be precise and thorough, and showing that these technologies exist. This comes from this guy's lab, right? Who's just been arrested. That's got close links to.
Yeah, but I want to see it, so close it and reopen it.
I've got a feeling it won't play, so I've got to. Maybe I've made a copy of it, but let me just see. Let me just give you the link first, and chat.
That little vampire lady at the bottom right corner is setting my ADHD off.
Yeah, it might be time to retire, little Corona-chan. We can. It was kind of funny, the Metica riff on how this thing was emerging. His but I've put the link in the Zoom chat, and then I'm going to put it into this chat. So it should be available on Discord, and it should be available on YouTube as well. So there it is. And I've got a feeling that I made the movie of this, but then where did I save it? That's the question. So
it's playing for me.
yeah, so you can play it locally probably, but for some reason there's some way that the screen's not picking it up. I don't know why that is, but it was an issue before, I remember. And so basically what you're going to see is just them building in a lab using essentially sort of photo and lithographic technologies, these abilities to get the
oh my gosh, this kid's a nerd and a half.
They all are, right? So, but these autistic types of
why is he sweating so much?
are just nervous, and it's
So that kid is in prison right now?
No. He's just in the lab. It's the head of the lab who's making this technology, who's been arrested right now, along with two Chinese postdocs. And there are other arrests going on right now. The thing is, the US has been heavily infiltrated by Chinese scientists / agents, right? That are specifically there to feed back information to and tech. They're transferring technology, okay? And the same thing can be leveled at our greatest ally in the Middle East. Your microphone is off, Sam. It's off.
I said, you better watch out. Your wife's getting a little upset with you, sir.
That's just normal. I'll suffer the consequences afterwards, but it's taken.
You'll suffer the consequences in periods of time where she's upset for the next decade.
But it's taken us a long while to sort of find this time to get this conversation out. And to me, okay, we've got this time now, you have to use it. And it's about making sure that there's consistency in the information that's available to you, so you can make we can all come to a consensus about what it is that we should be doing. Okay? And my practical approach right now, okay, so we're not how to put this, we're not doing the Monty Python Life of Brian effect where we're lemmings running off a cliff because we think the boxes have been ticked, okay, for the, I don't know, it's the prophetic component of the Abrahamic faiths, and they all have them. The Jews have a version, Christians have a version, and the Muslims have a version. And Omniversing says, "Good stream, mate. Full minty." Yeah, it that has been a very, very good stream. I've enjoyed it, and I hope me and Semper can talk some more. I didn't know about the preacher component of Semper's existence, so it's could make for some interesting metaphysical discussion.
No, I mean, for the most part, the religious component for me is just sanctification. You know, becoming someone who exhibits love, compassion, respect, that type of stuff. I mean, fruits of the Spirit: love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, and that. You know, there's a lot of people that like to get in the weeds when it comes to theology and stuff like that. But that right there, exhibiting the fruits of the Spirit is 100% of the new covenant, and those are manifested by how much you're paying attention to yourself, trying to eradicate stuff that is the result of damage that's happened in the past, or mistakes that you made, having the understanding that that the only way that you are going to be able to grow as a human being to become better is to have crappy things happen to you, because nobody ever grows like nobody ever learns from a win. You know, you always learn from your losses, and either you do or you don't, and that's generally where most of the stuff I do revolves around. I try to stay away from the theology, especially on the internet, because...
Oh, God.
yeah, because dude, you got the actually people. Actually...
The amount of people I have that are writing me, because I spend a lot of my time going after these cranks, basically, the people that think viruses don't exist. They're buying into all the conspiracy channels, and there are people literally quoting scripture at me, calling me the evil one for being deceptive by trying to talk to people about the science and the technology of what is here right now, because they would rather hear another narrative, right, that fits their paradigm. A lot of it comes from anti-vax types in the US. I would say that. Well,
and there is a very loud component of spurgy anti-vax.
Yeah.
Of people who just go off the deep end when it comes to that, and that's with pretty much every single genre of anything, of really anything, has this whole grouping of people that come in and take a solid concept, solid information, and a solid concern, and then they take it about 10 levels above where the concern was, and then that's all anyone hears.
Yeah. And then it makes it virtually impossible to have any dialogue whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No, you can't.
And
you stand back and you go, there's something weird about this grouping of people, and then the next thing you know, they're CIA, FBI, Mossad agents that are trying to suck the blood out of babies, and and it's like okay, well, I mean, you may be right, but that doesn't change the original concern, which is that these people are manipulating a situation clearly, and you've just taken what is clear and you've raised it up to a bar that is so high in regards to not being able to prove something, that you have just completely destroyed any argument that happens on the level of circumstantial evidence that is easily seen, or that is easily provable from the circumstantial side, and you've just taken it and you've injected this just insanity that you'll never be able to prove.
Yeah, and it turns people away, which is why the way that I've tried to sort of present this information to you right now, okay, what I'm specifically basing it that one looks a noisy one, dude. The information that I'm presenting right now is I want to show what's literally being done right now in public universities and taking of public money and they're bragging about it in scientific publications, okay, to get clout, to get more money, okay. And I'm sure Lieber was thinking about his Nobel Prize a year ago, okay, and we're in a situation now. So this is where I want to bring in the idea of the metaphysical, because there's because that, if you go too far with that too quickly, that injects this level of incredulity into the argument that other people find difficult to sort of wrap their head around, especially if they're fiercely atheistic, or if they're fiercely ideological at any level. Okay, once they've got into their head a particular set of circumstances and ideas for what's going on, and they keep reinforcing that, because we live now at this point where you can find the information that you need to always reinforce your argument, right? And this is what I hear from the people who keep defending the people that I go after, who are telling people that viruses are not real. They're literally telling people viruses are not real. You're completely foolish for believing in it, and pay me $1,000 and I will get you through the current circumstances.
And I understand the mindset behind that, because once you realize that something wasn't real, and then you might even give trust in certain other areas, and then you start to they come out and basically say, yeah, we were kind of, it wasn't real. And then you look at that, you start to look at other stuff and you see patterns in the same direction. And then you go, well, that's not real. Well, no, that one's real. Okay, well, you've lied to me twice. And so why should I believe this? And then there's this, and it's a pretty nasty rabbit hole to go down sometimes. That's why I always have to stand back and say, because I don't ever come to a definitive, like, you got the flat earth and all the, the firmament and even the moon landing. I think that, when it comes to the moon, I think you have a much more ground to stand on when it comes to the moon than anything else, just because of the age of technology, and then all of the subversion and the fact that they were in a Cold War at the time, and the country that they were going against was, the people that were saying that they were getting close to that. But I regularly fall on the side of what I said to you about the moon. Like, I can't say that we did or didn't. I can't say the Earth's flat. I can't say it's round. You won't ever know. You can look at the evidence presented and you can say, I think I do. But at the end of the day, you're never going to know. And a lot of people don't make that distinction. They have a specific bias, and that bias will inject itself into everything. And so a lot of people will listen to the stuff that you do, and they'll listen to it with the intent to find what's wrong with it. Instead of listening to say, okay, what's this guy talking about? They're saying, okay, what is this guy saying, and where can I find the lie? Because I know this guy's lying, so I have to pay attention to every single word and listen to him, so I can get that gotcha moment where I can go, aha, see, you said in this stream, and this is where it goes autistic, you said in this stream that you would do this, and then you said in this stream a year and a half later that you wouldn't. So clearly everything you've said is wrong.
Yeah, the spurginess, for want of a better word, is a good way of
confirmation bias is what it is.
Oh, yeah,
in reverse.
Yeah, and we're standing on. We exist on shifting sand, right? So we're as good as the equipment that we have to make an objective measurement. Okay, but the first thing we have to do is we have to at least agree that there's an objective reality that I can touch the table, right? I know it's real. Okay, I'm pretty sure that you're real because I've just been listening to you for a year or so, and you tell a kind of human story, and you're not in the uncanny valley of some type of AI script trying to fool me, right? I'm pretty sure, despite the...
I guess theoretically, if artificial intelligence is the level that I think it is, I could be generated, but...
Yeah, but so the simulation hypothesis, if you're going down that route, okay, then what you're saying is that there's a designer and an architect, and it's just it's a modern way of describing the super ordinate consciousness that we would ascribe under, I would argue, the religious domain. Okay, so we, as the concept that there is God, is that there is something approximating order and direction, right? So if you take the E. Michael Jones approach, and I think it's the beginning of John, right, the book of John, where there is the Word, and the Word was God, and that's where the Logos comes from. And goddamn bare-brained for taking all these terms and shitting all over them, so we can't use
That's what
them.
Bears do, though. They eat berries and they shit them out.
Right? So
that's literally what he does. He takes streams and then he shits them out.
Yeah, and he's a sort of charismatic speaker to the point where people are hungry for that information, right? They're hungry for something that agrees with them, and they want that confirmation bias, right? So it supports their view, right? So this is something that I notice very much with the this discord, this discussion between myself and an American. So you basically sort of argues, I don't know, like a Jeffersonian type. It's not democracy, but
we're a republic.
Yeah, but this idea that comes from the fact.
I'm just kidding. We're communists. We just don't know yet.
So the logos is from Greek philosophy, I've been told. Yeah, but the translation from Hebrew into Greek, right, and Latin. Okay, so that's where they use that. That's where it comes from. I think E. Michael Jones does a really, really good job of sort of laying out this component of the New Testament and Scripture and how it relates to everyone. Now, he would say, you've got to go and get baptized in the Roman Catholic Church to really be with God. I'm not sure I would buy that. I think.
See, that's why I tried to not step too close to theological arguments in that realm, because it is so divisive. And what I've noticed over the course of my life, because again, there is this concept of Southern Baptists that I grew up in, and they were so unbelievably concerned about actions the way that they were always concerned about let's call it addictions. They were always concerned about addictions that they didn't have. So whoever was preaching would say you're gonna, and for some reason you were always burning in hell. So you were gonna burn in hell if you drank. You were gonna burn in hell if you smoked. You were gonna burn in hell if you had sex before marriage. But you know what you didn't burn in hell for? Overeating. Because the guy preaching was 60 pounds overweight. Or anger issues. Because the guy who was preaching just destroyed his hard drive because something didn't work right on his laptop, and he picked it up and slammed it on the table. They don't ever talk about that because they struggle with it. Or they will get in this like mentality of, I have a problem with drinking, therefore it's the worst thing and I have to stay away from it, and so I'm going to preach against that. And I would see people get into these fights over minor theological issues when in reality all you were doing is being the person or the group of people that a person who is not a Christian points at and says, see, that's why I'm not a Christian right there.
And something that I always found in those types of people that engage in those minutiae of the theology, where they're trying to say that they're typically the people who have never ever had to have or had to have fights to progress through life. They've come through and they're given this not soft induction, but this long induction into the faith, and then they get this ideological possession, and then they feel that they're going to engage in this type of sophistry. Okay, and if people have come out of somewhere like the Bronx and they've had to fight tooth and nail to get out of there, they are more grounded, and you tend not to see them engaging in it. It's the white, comfy Bible Belt of America types that are driving SUVs that I always found want to do that, or Jews.
See, oh, you said the name. I've always found it's people who feel superior to other people, which would lend to what you're saying. But people who stand back and say, clearly you're stupid, and so you don't understand. So now I'm going to have to tell you because I'm right. And that, I mean, there's a component of that needs to be done to a certain extent. But, like, when you get to the point where you want to literally destroy someone because they don't believe what you believe in regards to that. And the thing is whether, let's take Noah's Ark, for example. Whether Noah's Ark could have been a literal thing or an allegorical thing is irrelevant when it comes to somebody following Christ or not. But I have watched people go round and round and round and round because one of the Southern Baptist things is that the Bible is completely and 100% literal and completely and 100% inerrant. But if you want to take Noah's Ark literally, then the outside of the housing the animals, let's just talk about how much shit you have to deal with on a daily basis for a handful of people on a boat. That's not even talking about how do you separate the animals, how do you keep predators from eating prey, what do you do with the Arctic animals, was there like an ice room or something? No, let's just talk about the metric tons of feces that are produced every single day by these animals. And there are people who will get viciously angry even at the notion that pulling off what Noah, or the essentially the story of Noah, claims to pull off, and they'll lose their minds. And then they'll end up alienating someone who was just asking very logical questions. And that person goes, you know what? Screw you guys. And you just became the justification for somebody not being willing to submit their lives to Christ.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I've seen it all the time. Look, it happens in science, right? People get entrenched in not science, it becomes ideology. So the classic example that you can point to is global warming. Okay, right? It's
global warming, or global cooling, or global climate change. Which one are you talking about? What decade are we in?
Yeah, so it depends, right? And the people seem geared towards that constant back and forth, and in some ways it can be productive. But I would say the scientific domain got corrupted by the ideology of climate change, the climate sciences. Okay, and
because the ones that are willing to do the most damage are the ones that end up being the ones on top, always. Because that's why I don't do internet fights, that and also because I think they're stupid. But the ante always has to get raised. So if you say something to me, then I have to say something back to you. And then once I say something back to you, you have to say something back to me. And then it goes and it escalates and it escalates and it escalates until somebody steps over a line. Well, the loser of that battle is the one who is the one that has a line that they're not willing to cross sooner than the other person's line they're not willing to cross. And so the people who generally tend to win those battles are the ones who there are no lines that they won't cross.
Well, look, I'll give you the perfect example, right? Charles Lieber in this lab that's just being nailed right now for this type of technology. Okay, there wasn't a line that he wouldn't cross. I personally made a decision a long time ago. I could have easily got a job in China because they do monkey research and they're not fascinated, but they're putting a lot of effort into the type of research that I did. Okay, I could have had a career over there, no problem. I didn't, because I had principles with respect to, well, I don't want to work for people who are the other end of my ideological spectrum, right? I don't want to work for people that harvest organs. I don't want to aid them in any way. Lieber didn't have that problem. He took the money, he took the pleasure girls, right? He took the inflated expenses and salaries from China. That's how they caught him. He didn't claim research funding or monies that he was getting from China. Okay, but basically he's involved in technical espionage, right? Because he's taking that technology, right, this brain machine interface technology, and he's taking it to China. And I would sort of put a bow in respect to the scientific aspect right now, that this virus, whether they've fought it or not, right now ties together perfectly at this domain of the brain, mind, and consciousness, right? And there's elements to this virus that they might. I've worked in those environments, right? They understand it, and they know that they can use viruses to upregulate function for brain-machine interfaces, and they're gonna go for, well, you know, they put it in its medical technology. We want to help paraplegics, etc. But there are people, when you get up and up and up, they just have different ideas about what they want to do with this stuff. And there are people who do have ideological compromise positions.
Just those first two words on that video would send most of my subs spiraling into an oblivion, which would be syringe injectable. And the funny thing is that people are working towards this stuff basically in front of everyone. I mean, not directly in front. You don't have the spotlight, but this is out in the open. It's on a website. You can watch the video. And you're basically telling everyone, we have developed a technology where we can use a syringe to inject you with a mesh that allows electrical currents to pass into your brain easier. That will allow us to send electrical currents that will create thoughts, create vision, stuff like that, and we don't need any physical hardware. And then you're wondering why people are freaking out about 5G. You're wondering why people are freaking out about any injection that the government's going to mandate. Because I'll take it one step further. What about nanotechnology? What about nanites? What about something that's gonna come in and it's gonna flip a switch in your DNA that makes you more suggestible? And the thing is that they're working on this shit. And they're doing so where does the government stop? Well, we've seen over and over and over that the government's willing to cross this line, and they're willing to cross this line, and they're willing to cross this line. You know, we just and I don't want to make it too political, but I'm going to. We just assassinated a guy at a civilian airport because he was the general of a country we didn't like. That is a line that you're not supposed to cross. If you're going to face somebody on a battlefield, you face somebody on the battlefield. And what do your Ben Shapiro say? Oh, well, he was a terrorist. It doesn't matter. Because now
he was uniformed, dude. That's a uniformed officer. Yeah. Okay.
Except for the fact that it's a civilian target, and he was going there under the methodology that's used for a civilian to move back and forth.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
But what you've just done...
You can't assassinate just a unit when there's no declaration of war, and you can't just assassinate officers.
That is a declaration of war.
Yeah, right.
Depending on who you talk to, that's how World War I started.
Yeah.
And the thing is that from that point forward, anybody who was a part of that person's country, you've now just made assassinating targets in civilian areas. You've made it acceptable. Because if you do it, then now we can do it.
Yeah.
And so I was pissed that day. In fact, One Step made a video about it. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. But yeah, I basically told the president. I mean, not that I told him, but I told him on my stream. I basically told the president, if we have a terrorist attack in this country on a civilian target, it is your fault. You did that. You went and took out a general of a foreign country at a civilian location. And so you just gave the green light for them to do the same. But everybody, they're insurgents. Except for the fact that if you put yourself in their shoes, what would happen if Mike Pompeo was flying over to Israel to yell at him for blah, 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 and as he was in the airport, somebody blew him up? Would you feel the same way you do about this guy? Because that's the way they see people on the other side. And they beat the war drums anyway, and everybody did their whole, this is the side I'm attached to. I lost a bunch of subs for that thing. It was just like, and it was just people doing that same thing, which is, this is my side. I'm staying with my side. And so my side steps over the line. Okay. It doesn't matter because the ends justify the means. And the ends don't. And
not in this case. And I look, how depending on where you want to draw this line, okay, we can probably. Well, I'll just sketch a thing out for you. So as Trump became president, okay, there was people probably not even remember much of this, but Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Oh yeah,
right. Followed by the UK. Italy was one. There's a whole bunch now that have recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now, it doesn't matter what you believe; it matters what other people believe, and in other people's mind, that's kicked off a whole prophetic process. Okay, that's coming to a head right now, and you could right. So this is where we can sort of take a step back and we can think about, well, how does all these prophetic components that are part of the human narrative fit into what we're seeing today? Because, like I say, you made the point that, well, what we're seeing right now is ticking a lot of the boxes for.
Don't forget that the EU is bleeding countries and it needs to get down to 10, and that the EU is literally centered in northern Rome. Which is chapter 6.
So this, it takes time for things to sort of come out, to fulfill these prophetic statements, right? So the Jews shouting Moshiach now, okay, that have their capital back in Israel and are already doing the sacrifice on the I lived in Israel and I can't remember its name. Never mind. Anyway, they're doing a blood sacrifice, okay, and they're waiting for the temple. Okay, they want to put it on the dome where the Dome of the Rock is. They want to put their temple, and they feel that they've fulfilled, and they literally have this metaphysical underpinning to everything that they do. Right? That's the Jewish identity. And when they say L'Haim next year in Jerusalem, right? That's something that's consistent across time. And right now, there are a lot of people, especially the what you would polite way of putting it, but the Christians in the United States that have become the enablers of the Israeli state. Okay.
You mean Judeo-Christian, not Christian, right? You know those two things that are completely at odds with each other that we just cram together with a hyphenation?
Yeah. But there's a very particular brand of teaching especially in the United States, where they talk about they feel that reconstituting Israel accelerates their agenda, and the Jews feel that by using those Christians it accelerates their agenda, and they're feeding off each other, right? Mm-hmm. Both expecting to win out of the this thing that they're engaged in, okay? And the again, you have to you get into this domain of, well, okay, what becomes it's you making it. It's not this hand of God, and then the distinction becomes very blurry once you try to sort of pick it apart in an objective manner.
I would be willing to make this
Christian
statement
Zionists,
right now.
Omniversling says. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yep. It's I would be willing to make this statement right now. I'm pretty sure if God is who I believe he is, he's probably already factored in the fact that you're going to try to progress the agenda. So and a lot of people, I'll run into this whole black pill thing because, I tell everybody, you can't break the machine. Like, nobody's going to be able to break the machine. If the machine wants it to be done, it's going to be done. And here's how they're going to do it. They're going to take out the weak people first, getting them to, basically just give over to it. And they're going to keep chipping it away until you get to that point of the bell curve. That's the 10% that will absolutely not do it. And then that's when they're going to use one of the tropes that I always tell people, if this comes out of a politician's mouth, they're full of shit. Kids, military, police, fire, old people. If they mention any of those, whatever is coming out of there, it's kind of like somebody says, well, I'm not a racist, but, and then the most racist thing you've ever heard come out of their mouth, they'll say, we're doing for the kids or for the military or fire, police, or old people, we're doing this. That next thing is going to be awful. Like, it's going to screw everybody. And so I get in this position to where there really is no way out. If they want to do this, they're going to do it. And there's not a damn thing you can do to stop it. And so people are like, oh, well, that's just depressing. Well, it is, except for the fact that now you can stop worrying about it and you can turn around and you can look at these kids that have been begging for your attention, trying to, deal with the constant anger that you have because of the fact that you're trying to change it. And you can take that time and you can give it to the people that you love. Live your life. Enjoy your life. And when it's your time to go, it'll be your time to go. If they show up to the house, then they show up to the house. And then you guys will probably get taken, but I'll be gone. So it won't matter. And the thing that for me is white pill, because your wife has been trying to get not you, the proverbial you. I mean, your wife has been trying to get yours. But
and my kids.
But your wife and your kids, they're begging for your attention, and you're so drilled in and you're so focused on this political situation that you can't change, that you're actually creating that for them. So instead of doing that, get yourself out of debt, get yourself out of the city, and just spend your time with the people you love. And then if it all comes crashing down, it all comes crashing down. If it's all a psyop, it's all a psyop. If it's all an overreaction, it's all an overreaction.
Yeah.
But To think somebody, me or you or anyone else, is going to be able to come in and break this machine when so many people have, been pressured or pushed by the death of people they love, stuff like that, to actually change. Who am I to? I'm sorry. If the government comes to me and literally threatens my children, I'm not streaming anymore. I'm just not. I'll be like, all right, I'll shut my mouth. See you later, guys. I'm not going to have somebody take out one of my kids because they want to silence me. How about this? I'll silence myself before you get... I'm not going to sit here and lose a bunch of my kids before I finally give in. No, I'll just go my own way. If they want to give me like $4 billion for a line of code that could change the world, then great. Give me the $4 billion. I'm going to go buy an island somewhere. I'm going to move my family there, and you guys will never hear from me again. I'm not going to sit here and have you guys try to, kill me or, steal the technology and implement it somewhere else, and then I have to spend my entire life fighting you in court, and it's not going to matter anyway. It's just...
Well, I would take because I agree with what you're saying, and it's part of the message that I tried to give out to people, is that all this stuff that you're looking at, that I walked you through today, and I've walked many people through, it's already done. Yeah. In most cases, it's already done, and it's being pushed in a way that there's very, very little that you can do right now, except look after the ones that are closest to you. Once you've got that done,
have the knowledge, make decisions based off that knowledge, but don't worry about it. Yeah. Don't sit there and freak out about it. That's one of the... That's one of the things that drove me, because I was married for 12 years, and that was one of the things that drove me nuts during that, is I'm like, why are you freaking out about this? We're on a vacation. We don't need to schedule every single second of that vacation. Let's just go and have fun. Let's just do stuff. And then that obsessive nature came to, and I have my own obsessive nature. She wasn't the only one, but you end up destroying the thing that you intended to build, to be something that builds, because you're obsessing on something you can't change, that you can't affect. You'll see it with jealous people, people who are so worried that their wife is going to leave them, or their wife is cheating on them, or a husband's going to leave them, that they end up doing things that destroy the relationship, to the point where the husband decides, I don't want to do this anymore, or the wife decides, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
Because they're worried that their wife or their husband is not going to do it. They're going through their phones, they're accusing them of stuff all the time. And it's like, just sit back, pay attention to your marriage, pay attention to your relationship, give them everything you have, and if she decides to leave, later on down the road, if she decides to cheat on you, if you decide to, he decides to leave, or he decides to cheat on, that's just the nature of the beast. But try to shift your perspective from, instead of looking at what could go wrong or what is going wrong, look at what good things you have. Look at what is going right, because you could spend all your time worrying about the people you love die, that you end up, that worry pulls your attention away from the time that you could have spent with them before they died. And you end up losing the time that you have because you were so worried that you weren't going to have the time anymore.
My wife's agreeing with you in the chat.
Yes. See? Hey, I got your back, Mrs. H-Bomb. I got your back. Because it's 3:30 here.
Okay. But so what I would try and do is expand on that a little bit, because I think that's the right message that I would try and get through. But I would say it's still incumbent upon you you have to look out for your loved ones, right?
There's pay attention and there's worry. Yeah. Those are two completely different things. Being educated, you'll never hear me say my God, my entire stream is educating on things that either I don't know or I get interested in, and then I talk about it. I'll be talking about this in a stream later on. But the key, it's the worry aspect. It's the constantly going, oh, where's the boogeyman? Where's the boogeyman? Where's the boogeyman? And meanwhile, your kids are like, Dad, your wife is like, hey, babe. And then you're like, hold on. I got to get to the boogeyman. Boogeyman. And that's just detrimental. And that's where our society is right now. It really is. That's where we're at. Everybody's, and this is the next thing, and this is the next thing. And that's what your life ends up becoming.
Yep. I agree 100%. And this is how you go about. So once you've taken that step, right, and so you can step back, and then you can say, okay, I can assess now. You're giving the priority that you need to your family, and then that spreads out. You can spread that out, so you can start or aggregating that advice and people to what it is that you're saying, right? That's the role of the preacher, to sort of send that out.
Yeah, that's my job, is to just point things out to people. It's just little things, like not having expectation. Like that's one of my big ones, is just stop expecting things. You deserve nothing, which sounds like a horrible message. But if you stand back and you look at it, it's like the starting point for every negative emotion you have is because you had some type of, whether it be a macro or micro expectation, you had some kind of expectation that didn't get fulfilled. Whether it's, I texted this person, they didn't text me back. Why'd you text that person? Because you wanted a response. If you would have just said what you wanted to say to that person and you didn't expect a response back, you wouldn't be upset. And it's just stuff that's even just that simple, that if you, and I learned this myself, and I speak about it because I had to learn it the hard way, and I finally figured it out, and it's like, wow. And then it takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, then I don't know how to work in a marriage or relationship. I don't claim that, but I know that for me,
apparently, dude, I suck at it. But there's, so because it is, I heard you say it's 3:30, and I think we can continue this conversation. I think because it's a long one and it's a deep one that you can keep following once you've got this. You start building on these blocks that we've laid down this evening. Okay.
Yeah. I think, absolutely.
Right. I think, and a lot of the people in the chat, I'm trying to pay attention to it. I'm not doing a good job, but my wife even says you suck at it, and that means the pimp hand has to warm up right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you got to go up a little further. That's the only one you saw. She started chiming in big time. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, from my perspective, if you, this whole world is about quality of life, and we'll go back all the way around to the beginning of this. Now that they're all asleep, we'll go all the way back to the beginning of this, which is why I would rather die than have a government that tells me I have to wear a mask, I have to wear goggles, I have to stay in my house. I would rather die, because for me, a short quality of life where I can enjoy my life is infinitely better than a prolonged life where I go to a job that I don't like. I have a government telling me everything that I can and can't do. A short life with freedom, for me, far outweighs a long life of just status quo. And so if I can spend in a 3-year time period the amount of time that I would spend with my kids over the course of a lifetime, I would rather be able to solely focus on them for that period of time than have a lifetime of mediocrity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I
mean, I don't have a death wish. Like, I don't want to go, but if I do, it's not the end of the world, you know? I mean, it may be.
It would be the end of your world. That's it.
Well, depends on what you believe, I guess. I'll be playing golf with the J-Man. I won't give a shit about any of you guys.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it works like that, but
that's how it works.
But I would say, I would add this, and then I think we can sort of wrap it up, because obviously, so my wife says, would you not bear it for the sake of your kids?
Yeah, see?
So I would finish up if I had a sort of
don't die
concluding statement. Yeah, if we had a concluding statement for this evening, is that perhaps I've hopefully sort of convinced you that there is an element that you hadn't seen being presented before.
That was that's definitely an element that that's definitely an element I haven't seen, and impactful element, by the way, for people who are in that situation where like, you're right in the sense that death is not the main issue with this thing, because my answer every time is going to be people die. That's how it works. But okay, so what can they change if they get this virus up in your brain?
Yeah.
And if it looks engineered, then you can engineer it to do certain things. So how fast does it go? What can it affect? Can it actually fix something? Does it, when it develops all of these little carbon nanite tube thingies, is it going to be able to make it easier to pass the electrical pulses to get you to feel a certain way, do a certain thing? And what happens when you take energy that is being put into the atmosphere? Or can they make a connection? Can it be some type of uplink?
Right.
And that's a legitimate question.
Yeah, it is a legitimate question, and that's why what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to emphasize to everyone, before you make that jump, right, we have to get this down properly so people understand it at an implicit level. So then you have to understand that the virus being out in the environment might not have been a deliberate act, but it's out there now, and there's a potential for it to have, particular properties that we should be careful of, because what happens if the those more extreme conspiracy elements have some truth to them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hope that it's not the worst of it, and let's hope that we can hold people accountable in such a way that we get a handle on the technology like we would any other type of weaponry, right? Because this is dual-use technology. Okay, they'll sell it to you as medical stuff, or it's gonna be part of your medical.
Daddy, no tablet.
No.
Oh.
You can the people who are making it will sell it to you One, because it gives them money, power. Those organizations want that. And two, potentially it has this prophetic, archetypical component embedded in it that complies with, the most fervent Baptist minister in Louisiana, the deep South, right?
Well, and the it was Nobel, right, that made dynamite.
Yep.
And that was the whole point, was he made dynamite for something that was different than what it was used for, and that's always a concern. But the thing is you can run yourself in circles trying to figure out what there's just too many there's too many variables to be able to apply any type of probability to a lot of this stuff. And if you're going to work through it to be able to get a probability that is worth looking at, I mean, that's what rabbit holes are, man. And now with the way that this stuff happening, or the way that this stuff is going down now, it's like they've figured out how to give you this perfect mix of subverted truth, half-truth, complete lie, and they're all saying the same thing, and it's going in 50 million different directions. So you have to figure out, there's just this infinite line of just
which is why I try and ground it in the science that's available, and the science that I've done, which I can attest to, which is why I call it that COVID zombie. I can look at that and I've got a scientific rationale for what it is, and I would say that the chaos tearing at the fabric of the United States right now, it's not everyone's infected, but how many in 100 people do you need infected to be able to take that crowd where it would normally disperse over the edge into another state, right?
See, I think you and you did it very eloquently over the last 6 hours. Defining infected, because when you say positive cases, the way that it's been portrayed is just people who tested positive. That's all it is. People who tested positive. Whether they were sick, whether they were hospitalized, whether they were anything, it's just this many people tested positive. But if that positive test, and that's why I asked you that question earlier, is it something, is there any specific criteria for it to affect you neurologically? If you're affected neurologically in some way, shape, or form every single case, then that 3.5 million infected, 3.5 million positive turns into something very, very impactful.
Yeah.
If it's just people saying, yeah, I got corona, but only 0.3% of them die, that's nothing. But if 3.5 million people now have some type of neurological issue, whether it be a more susceptible to messaging, maybe anger, chaos, that type of stuff, then we have a very, very severe problem at that point.
And that's precisely what I'm saying. And I would say that's what you're seeing right now. Right? You're seeing that.
But that's not what people were thinking. Right now, all you're hearing is 3.5 million cases. 3.5 million cases. Well, when you mix that into 400 million people, that's not that many cases. But if you have 3.5 million people who yesterday were these types of people, and today they're completely different from the standpoint of temperament, 3.5 million people become a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so if it's presented in that manner, then yeah, that would make it a little bit more impactful. And I'll figure out a way to turn it into layman's, because I have to. Now it's gonna bug me. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn it into something that's more layman terms. Because I love the technical shit. The technical shit makes me happy. But most people, they start hearing about, nanocarbons and Billy Rubens, and they just do bloop, check out.
I know.
So, I'll figure out a way to put it in some form or fashion the way I just put it to you. And I'll figure out how to translate it, because that's one of the things that I think I do pretty well, and I've been told in training classes and stuff like that on the professional side that you have ability to take something very technical and break it down to something that is relatable and understandable to people who don't necessarily care about the technical side. So I'll push it, but I do want to I'm going to watch that whole video and obsess on it. But I do want to get into the injectables, and I really, really, really want to do. I want to have a conversation about which really is the wireless component, because I saw the videos of not somebody breaking it down, not somebody explaining how it works, but a game developers at like E3 in their booths having a discussion, and a guy going, yeah, but I'm not going to want to put anything in my head. And the guy goes, no, like, look, we don't even need an implant. No. And when I heard that, I went, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. Because you have no firewall. So if somebody figures out how to do it, again, we go back to the question of how do you know what you just thought is yours? How do you know somebody didn't drop a thought into your head? There's no contrast. There's no parity. There's no way to validate that. Your thoughts are your thoughts. Your feelings are your feelings. And if something gets in there and starts affecting it, and especially to the tune of 3.5 million people, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, 3.5 million people, generally, let's think. So if you look at the infection rate in America, so let's look at one graph that's useful. So the peak went up in America, they closed everything, and it started to flatten out. What happens? Boom. George Floyd happens. Right? You've got that period of when the riots started, and then what happens? Everything shoots back up with respect.
But we all know COVID doesn't affect protesters and riots. That's
yeah, but that's just that's the whole
a fact,
point. Right?
So I don't know why it would have gone up like that.
So now think, right? You've got all those people that I said you don't have to say all of them, but let's say out of every 100, 10 of them have who are already close to the threshold of action with respect to their political beliefs, right? They are the activist type, and they're in that age, that developmental age, the messianic phase, as Piaget calls it, in the 20s, where you grab hold of something that you become passionate about, okay? And now that's been subverted and hijacked by this essentially invisible agent that, like I said, a lot of people not even believing, and a lot of people are taking the stance that you took with, well, it's not. I don't think it'll kill me. I'll be all right. Okay, and then not engaging in a behavior that would be sensible with respect to your family and those around you, and potentially what's coming down the road or the tracks, essentially. Because what I see right now, this is just the beginning. Just the beginning right now. And it's already nuts. It's already nuts. And the next 3 months up until the election, so they've got grounds enough now to even put the election off.
Right? Yeah. And that's the other problem I have with this, is it's just one more thing that happens right before the election that makes this election the most important election, blah, 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 blah.